In the animal kingdom, there are plenty of wild and wonderful ways to communicate.
But what if you were an animal with no voice and no hearing? I'm Megan, and at the University of the Sunshine Coast, I study the crown of thorns starfish who communicate with smell.
These seriously spiky starfish are native to our Great Barrier Reef. Believe it or not, they use smell as their main sense, picking up on chemicals called pheromones in the water around them.
But the crown of thorns don't have a nose either. Instead, they detect pheromones using receptors in their limbs.
It would be like us having a nose on our hands and feet. By simply removing one of the starfish limbs, we can easily study these receptor cells under our microscope. And because starfish can regenerate their limbs, it will grow right back. The sensory tentacles work underwater to detect pheromones. We call these chemical cues. When males and females are ready for breeding, they release a pheromone that can travel a long distance in the water. When they sense this chemical cue from the opposite sex, they use it to gather closely together for the best chance of breeding.
The crown of thorns starfish are really successful breeders. A female can release up to 100 million eggs in a single spawning. But this is creating a huge problem. These starfish eat coral, and with their numbers growing out of control, our Great Barrier Reef is at serious risk.
Through our study, we learned that each starfish eats around 10 square metres of reef coral every year, and there are millions of native crown of thorns currently living on the reef.
And that's where chemical communication might just save the day. We can use it to help control their numbers.
By studying the crown of thorns receptors and their reaction to Triton pheromones, we can create a pheromone that blocks these receptors from working. If we release this into the water, we can prevent this starfish from detecting the opposite sex, and we interrupt the breeding cycle.
So using chemical know-how means we don't have to kill these native wonders to keep our Great Barrier Reef intact.